Just 6 months ago, the best Apex Legends teams from around the world converged on Raleigh, North Carolina for the biggest ALGS event to date. Many expected TSM, Scars, or the eventual champions Dark Zero to win the day, but instead, we bore witness to the rise of his Wattson and Furia.
Big damage though onto Zera Tricky, but it doesn't matter! At one point this game looked like a lost cause for Furia.
Don't like the Seer meta? You can thank Furia for that.
Oh boy.
Oh, gotta do it to them. You gotta do it to them.
This man Wattson.
Although Furia came in second place due to the match point format, I would argue that they were the most dominant team in the world at that point.
Give me low, give me low, give me low, give me low. Behind you. You got that! You got it, bro. You got
This
it.
guy just, it's just you.
You got it. You win it.
Go! Really better. Oh my god, bro. Woo.
But now as we approach the Split 1 playoffs, London LAN in year 3 of ALGS, we peek over at the NA standings and see Furia sitting just outside the top 10, meaning they failed to qualify. But how could a team so dominant have a fall from grace so soon? Furia is one of the favorites in North America to advance through to the London LAN, yet they came just short. So today, let's talk about Furia and what conspired that led them to where we are today. Welcome back to The Reset, Episode 2, where we're talking about Furia, and let's start with the most obvious issue. Before the beginning of Split 1, his Wattson had repeatedly been taking shots at the Respawn staff, namely Hideouts, the face of Respawn's security team. Respawn responded to this by putting out a statement stating they viewed this as harassment of one of their employees and that this would not be tolerated, and they suspended his Wattson for Week 1 of ALGS. Furia, for Matchday 1, replaced his Wattson with a sub who used to be on one of the original TSM rosters, Prodigy Aces. Furia on the day finished 12th, putting them off to a pretty poor start by their own standards to Split 1. But unfortunately, this poor play didn't change when his Wattson returned. Obviously, his Wattson was still grinding the game, but with one less day of competition in the toughest lobbies, he was naturally going to be a bit more rusty and slightly less cohesive with his team off the bat. While other teams got to learn from day 1 and adjust moving forward, Furia was playing with a sub, which, shout out to Prodigy Aces, he did lead the team in kills on the day, but still, they didn't have near the success that they did at the Raleigh LAN. To put this in perspective, on day 1, Panders finished with 3 total kills and Zera Tricky finished with 5. Prodigy Aces led the team with 9. Now this is a stark contrast still to the Raleigh LAN team that would run through lobbies finishing with kill numbers such as those every single game. When his Wattson did return for Matchday 3, Furia only managed to finish 13th. This poor streak continued all the way to Matchday 5, where they finished 17th. So through 5 match days and 3 match days played, Furia finished outside the top 10 in all 3. So about halfway through Split 1, we have Furia sitting in 24th place out of 30 teams. But the slow start cannot solely be attributed to rust, which brings us to problem number 2. Wait. What about the intro clip? Don't like the Seer meta? You can thank Furia for that. So you're telling me that the team who single-handedly shifted the meta is struggling once it's shifted? Alright, my hands are up. Yes, this point is a bit wild at first, but Furia did start the Seer meta and is now struggling within it. But in order to understand how the meta shift they started has actually hurt them, we have to go all the way back to the 2022 ALGS regular season. Seer initially came out and was a very broken character. He had wall hacks as a passive that could see a crazy far distance. His tactical could cancel any action, would slow you down, flash you, and deal 20 damage, and his ultimate only had a 60-second cooldown. The outcry was immense, and Respawn responded and nerfed Seer. They raised the cooldown of his ultimate, lowered the scan distance and the field of view of his passive, and removed the flash and damage from his tactical. The pro scene immediately decided that Seer was done for. Just listen to this clip of TSM discussing Seer after attempting to use him post-nerf.
Seer's ass, we need to go to Bloodhound.
I agree. This is what I said. As soon as they nerf Seer, he's gonna be
Seer's 100% ass. The reason why Seer was so good is because his ulti was like such a low cooldown, and like just you need to go back to Bloodhound. Seer is not
if
good.
we just had a scan, we don't do that,
yeah.
we can win this game. Like
exactly.
That's actually just Seer right there that got us killed.
Well, Snipe's call out, but yeah, if we have Bloodhound, we would not do that.
So every single pro team had shifted their focus back to Bloodhound, except for one. Now we have to fast forward up to the 2022 ALGS Championships at Raleigh. Furia dominated Grand Finals using a comp that only had a 3.9% pick rate, so clearly they weren't choosing the meta. But why would they choose Seer, Horizon, and Valkyrie? Well, as his Watson explained prior to the tournament, Seer was still incredibly overpowered post-nerf, just nobody else knew it yet. Just look at the character pick rates from the Grand Finals teams. Seer only had a 15% pick rate. Horizon only had a 5% pick rate. At the time, Gibby, Caustic, and Valkyrie was the meta composition with an astonishing 61% pick rate in the Grand Finals. And with so many teams picking this composition, that means they all knew how to fight with and against the comp. But Furia was an innovative edge team. They had sacrificed positioning for the sake of loot and space, and Furia knew that the Gibby Caustic comp lent itself to playing far more defensive. But out on the edge, with little interference from other teams, if they could craft the right offensive composition, they could run it down with little regard for safety and pick up immense amount of kills on the edge. Furia had created a composition that could directly counter the Caustic Gibby meta. Seer can cancel heals and reses happening inside of Gibby bubbles. Horizon can use her tactical to launch a team into the air to avoid Gibby and Caustic ultimates, and then Horizon and Seer ults combined can pull out a bunkered team from their safe space into a concentrated area in order to be focus fired. And that's exactly what they did with Horizon and Seer.
Alright, I'm doing it. Let's go.
Text him, text him!
Yeah.
We saw the other team switching with us!
Yeah, don't die.
I'm in. I'm signing up the guy I can't. Nade on Watson,
Go get me. I'm dead. Go get me, Panda.
I have to go back, you're good.
Hit shit on.
Trust me, just trust me. Trust me.
Okay.
I'm good on me, Penders.
Kill the Gibby if you can.
I'm dead again. No, go back to that.
He died.
Good shit. I don't even care.
Oh, you're not dead? Oh, I thought you were dead already.
But success comes at a cost. The cost was Furia single-handedly displaying the power of Seer and Horizon and shifting the meta entirely.
Why Seer? Seer's broken. Seer's like, honestly, those guys saying Seer is better than Bloodhound was probably right this entire time.
Let's fast forward to our current ALGS Split 1. In days 1 through 3, 96% of teams used Valkyrie, 62% of teams used Seer, and 36% of teams used Horizon. That's a pretty massive jump from the Raleigh LAN, and Furia did not adjust well. We've already discussed their placement during those days. After match day 5, Furia was sitting in 24th place. They knew something had to change, so they put their innovative minds together and came up with what could become the next meta. On match day 6, Furia completely abandoned the Seer Horizon composition. In all 6 games of match day 6, they played Bangalore, Bloodhound, and Horizon. Now, unlike Seer, this wasn't some secret untapped potential that the entire competitive scene was sleeping on. This was a straight up counter pick. As Zeratricki explained, Furia believes the Seer Horizon lineup was mainly built to counter Gibby and Caustic, so once the meta shifted away from Gibby and Caustic, Seer and Horizon got weaker. That combined with the increasing conversation surrounding aim assists and the increase in controller players in ALGS, Bangalore and Bloodhound are meant to counter the current meta. Bangalore's smoke and ultimates can create a lot of disorientation against enemy teams if used correctly. Combine that with digi threats and Bloodhound scans to see through smoke, and you can easily wipe a team that is unprepared. Also of note, controllers do not get aim assist when fighting in Bangalore's smoke, meaning the controller's big advantage at close range fights is entirely erased. This reaped instant rewards for Furia and sparked a comeback for them. In the remaining match days, they managed to finish 2nd, 3rd, and 1st, respectively. This shift launched them up to 7th place in the overall standings heading into the regional finals. And with 1 day left to play, they simply needed a solid game to maintain their spot heading to LAN. But there were 9 teams behind them that were still within 20 points and were a threat to pass them depending on how the day went, which leads me to our 3rd and final problem. To put it plainly, Furia came out incredibly flat in the regional finals. Furia finished in 18th place, netting them a total of 2 points towards the overall leaderboard. Unfortunately for them, as well as a couple other teams, ESA dominated, finishing the match point format in a record 5 games. This meant that very few teams, Furia included, had much of a chance to make a move unless they'd picked up points during games 2, 3, or 4, as ESA won both games 1 and 5. The teams who capitalized on their opportunity, well, ESA obviously, as well as NRG, HEC, who is now signed to Oxygen, aka OXG, and Dark Zero, managed to put enough points up to surpass Furia, dropping Furia just outside the top 10 in 11th place. So Furia came up short when they needed to perform the very most at the end, and I think this clip tells the story of the day.
I'm just shooting that out.
Right.
I dropped.
I'm ulting them. I'm staying up here, Watson.
I might die to this.
I'm in scan.
I dropped.
We can try to go this way, bro.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna try and run.
You need ult. I stunned one.
I ulted already. I'm one fucking health. Yeah, dead.
We should play for his banner, public banner. Just run.
Yeah, just play for it later.
We're just a duo. I'm dead.
Pretty sure TSM is just playing like ranked.
They are.
They're doing what?
Playing ranked.
It's just another auto qual team that's just trolling.
Yeah. You just got a rat solo. I mean, they've just literally never been there before. Like they
might be able to get your banner.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just got 3-2-1, but I barely lived.
Like, they've just never done that before, ever. Like, it's just the same. XI and TSM have just done two things to us they've never done before.
That was 100 Thieves, not extra. Oh, are you talking about
the team
bridge,
behind?
The bridge thing?
They just don't care.
Not only has the meta shifted, but the old zone and edge playstyles aren't concrete anymore. Furia is still a hard edge team, but most other squads have adjusted. Depending on the circle, many teams will play zone if given the opportunity, or will play edge if they know they can't rotate quickly enough for a god spot. Teams were catching Furia on the edge off guard. Back in the previous metas, this was the other way around. The most telling stat of the day was their kill totals. But before I show you Furia's kills in the regional finals, I want to show you their previous 3 match days numbers. On match day 6, when they began to turn things around, his Watson had 15 kills. Panders had 13 kills, and Zeratricky had 12 kills for a total of 40. Furia finished in 2nd place on the day. On match day 7, his Watson had 12 kills, as did Panders, and Zeratricky added 14 for a total of 38 kills. Furia finished in 1st place on the day. And on match day 9, his Watson had 13 kills, Panders had 8, and Zera had 6 for a total of 27 kills. Furia finished in 3rd on the day. But in the regional finals, his Watson had 1 kill, Panders had 0, and Zera had 2. As one of the most feared teams out on the edge, Furia repeatedly got caught out and finished the day with 3 kills. They finished in 18th place. Furia plays a high-risk, high-reward playstyle. They play for KP, and when done correctly, they will bully a lobby into placement points, as opposed to playing for placement points. But when they have off days like the regional finals, they are doomed because with a lack of killing power, their playstyle and comp doesn't lend itself to playing for placement. So in conclusion, Furia failed to qualify for LAN because his Watson allowed himself to get caught up in a beef with Respawn that hurt his team. Then they failed to adjust when the meta came to them as opposed to them countering the meta. They had success once they switched again, but unlike a LAN, the rest of the scene had time to VOD review and adjust to their newfound success with their current comp. And it doesn't help that Furia wasn't the only team attempting to innovate with Bangalore. Other teams such as NRG, LG, Optic, and Dark Zero were all using various Bangalore comps, and other teams were able to experience and learn how to counter her far more often, which allowed for a much quicker adjustment to Furia's playstyle. But personally, I'm not counting Furia out. This roster with Sea Lion as their coach has proven that they can innovate towards success. Although their current innovations have been meta-defining, I have full faith that this team can come back split 2 and will have something new up their sleeve that will bring them right back to the mountaintop.
Got it, bro, you got it! Sit the hell down!
It is one thing!
It's just you! You got it! You win it! There you go!
It's
one thing for the brand! Oh my god! Oh my god! Are you kidding me?
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching episode 2 of The Reset. I got FaZe coming for you guys next week, and I want to give everybody that's watching a huge thank you because I started this YouTube thing just a couple weeks ago. The first video I made as of recording is sitting at over 18,000 views. The Optic video is sitting at over 35,000 views, and we've already gained over 2,000 subscribers. This is just something that I didn't expect to happen. And I don't know, it's pretty crazy. So appreciate all you guys. See you next week with FaZe.